The hate army troll.
It's the hate army,
bro.
The hate army.
Shout
that
out
guy.
to hate.
Good vibes to the
Shout
hate
out to
army.
hate.
Shout out to hate.
Shout out
Shout
for
out to
hate.
hate.
Shout out to hate.
Shout out for
Shout
hate.
out for hate.
A lot more time for interaction and Q&A. Just for those who are here live, I don't know what's going on with YouTube today. Like, my viewer count is very weird. Here's what I mean by that. Typically when I start the podcast, all right, it'll be around, say, between 100 200 viewers. As I was starting the podcast today, it said I had 90, which is weird, but then it skyrocketed and said I had 130, then it said I had 80, then it said I had like 100, and it's kind of been pinballing all over the place. And it never usually does that. And I've noticed this, it looks like viewership on YouTube, there's some weird way that it's changed the way that it's being calculated. It's just odd. And again, it doesn't really affect anything. But I just want you guys to know, if you're watching live and you're like, why does it say we have this many viewers? Then it's way low, then it's high, then it's low, then it's high. I don't know what's going on with it. I don't know if it's accurate or not. It's not a big deal. I broadcast for my audience every day, regardless if there's 5 viewers or 5,000. I really don't care. I'm just having a good time. So as long as it's working for all of you, and I did ask everyone in the chat, I said, the stream seems to be working correctly for everyone, right? Like, you can watch it, you can hear it. Everyone seems to say it sounds and looks the same. So I don't know what's up with the YouTube view counts bouncing all over the place this morning. If you're watching on demand, it likely is not going to affect you. Maybe it will. I don't know, because I don't know if like view counts on videos have also been affected. I told you guys I'd say the last month to 2 months, I've noticed a distinct dip in viewership in my videos. But the weird part about that is I haven't seen any decline in support or income. And what I mean by that is, like, my ad revenue has remained the same. My my membership revenue has remained the same or been better. So if I have less viewers, why would all my income be exactly the same? Doesn't seem to make sense, does it? You would think if you have a decline in viewership that you would have a decline in support, but I haven't, which leads me to believe something's going on with YouTube, that maybe they changed the way that views are being calculated. It could be. I really don't know. It's also weird because, for example, the last couple of days, we've had more people on stream, supposedly, to watch Mortal Kombat 1. I've seen my streams having 400, 500, 600 viewers, but the chat seems exactly the same, which doesn't make sense.
If we have hundreds more viewers, why is no one talking?
That doesn't seem to make sense, does it? I'm just confused, but again, for me, I am a different kind of content creator than most. I'm making content for a smaller, more dedicated audience that likes what I do the way I do it, so it's curated content. You understand? If people from outside of my regular channels happen upon my content and watch it and enjoy it, great, welcome. You have to become a subscriber of the channel to talk in the chat. Just so you know, it's a 24-hour sub mode because there's so many trolls and things with bots and stuff. It has to be like that. We had it before that. It was a nightmare. No one could talk. It was nonstop spam and bots, okay? So welcome to everyone who is maybe a newcomer. But I do find it odd that recently there's all this weird stuff. View counts seem to be lower. Views are bouncing all over the place. Yet somehow I'm not affected. I don't get it, you know? Like, see, the thing is, I don't really care. I'm making content as long as you guys like it and things haven't, you know, declined, which they haven't. You know, I'm happy. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for enjoying. Don't worry too much about it. I'm certainly not worried. You know, I don't care. Right now it says we have 179 viewers. Typically on a podcast, we'd have between 200 and 300 and then increasing at the beginning of the show. Sometimes we have more than that if it's like a new release. So maybe it's just because today's React Day and there's less attention. It could be accurate. I don't know, but it was weird that it was bouncing all over the place earlier. Don't worry about it. The sky is not falling. The world is not ended. It doesn't matter what the views are on individual videos. Everything seems to be fine. Okay? So there you go. Someone actually, Acidface says, maybe they only count logged in views now. I mean, that would be a huge change. Because tons of people who use YouTube don't log in. They just go to YouTube and click on a video and watch, and then they're out of there. They don't have an actual account they're logging into. You think that could be the case? Maybe that is the case. Maybe they're not counting logged in views anymore. See, the thing is, it doesn't matter. Back in the day, I actually got paid based off of views. I didn't get paid off of ad revenue or anything like that. I had flat rate contracts with Machinima back in the day where I would get paid based off of views. So if I had a view dip, I'd be super concerned. I'd be like, oh my God, I'm going to take a pay cut now because YouTube's not counting views properly. Today, I could not give a crap. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally, I could not give a crap. That's all I have to say. Anyway, so let's continue. Now, last night on the late stream, it was the conclusion of Chrono Trigger after a summer-long playthrough. Basically, I've been playing it for about 6 weeks. I was looking it up, and I started right at the beginning of August. So it was about, 6 weeks that I've been playing Chrono Trigger, and the playthrough clocked in at just over 26 hours when I was done. Much longer than my original playthrough. My original playthrough from 10 years ago, that one was only like maybe 15 to 18 hours. Reason being, number one, it was just me playing. I wasn't talking with anyone or explaining anything while I was playing. It was more me just playing and narrating over what I was doing, which is way more streamlined. Number two, the version that I played 10 years ago was the pure emulated SNES version. This time around, we were playing the Steam version, which had much added content. It was widescreen. It had better menus. It had added optional content such as the Lost Dimension, Lost Dungeon. I can't remember what it was called. We did it. It was 4 hours of extra gameplay, and that was the content that had been added when this game was ported to the Nintendo DS in the 2000s. So we did that too. Oh, Lost Sanctum. That's what it's called. Lost Sanctum. So we done all of that. So it was a much more complete playthrough this time around. Okay? Man, the ending was great. The music was outstanding. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I cried because this is a game from my childhood that still to this day, I love this game. Every time I play it, I have a blast. The music, the graphics, the story, the optional content, it's all resonates with me. This is one of the games that back in the day made me fall in love with games for the rest of my life. And so it was very emotional for me. It wasn't that I was sad. It wasn't that I was overly happy. It's just it resonated. When it started playing that final music and it was everyone's final goodbyes, everyone was going into the time portal to say goodbye at the end of the game, it actually made me tear up. I was crying. Everyone's like, what's he crying about? I'm like, it's just, I don't know. It's just certain things from your past that are meaningful to you make you feel that way. You know what I mean? So I really enjoyed the ending of it. And for those who were there live, thank you. For those who were there for the entirety of the playthrough, I really appreciate that because this playthrough meant a lot more to me than playing these games 10 years ago. You know, when I played these games in 2013, the internet was a different place and I was a different person and my content was different too, okay? So, that being said, yeah, basically for me, when I'm doing a playthrough and I have an interactive audience and I can talk with you guys and I can share my emotions and thoughts live, that's way more meaningful to me than any of the content that I used to do that was the offline style. Because pre-2017, all right, basically everything that I did was basically felt like it was offline, me doing it for myself. Or, you know, if I had a co-op partner, that was a little different. But for the most part, it was just me narrating over everything. Even though I did live stream from 2013 to 2016, those streams were ignoring the audience, not interacting, no face cam, right? It was a very different style. It wasn't until 2017 that I changed everything up. And now it's been pretty much almost 7 years because 2017, 18, 19, 21, 2021, 22, 23. Yeah, it's been 7 years that I've been an interactive live streamer and things have been much better for me. Like the content I put out today makes me feel better about what I'm doing on the internet. I feel like the stuff I do today is a legacy of good content, while a lot of the stuff that I used to do back in the day was very much for an immature YouTube audience, you know. Case in point, in 2013, when I did what was called the Summer of Retro, and I played games like Chrono Trigger, Earthbound, Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, and a couple of classic Super Marios, okay? My viewer base revolted against me. Yes, I got thumbs down all over the videos. I had people who were coming out and complaining. what a boring summer that Darkside Phil has done. How off base he is with his viewer base to be playing classic games. No one wants to see these old pixelated relic games. They mean nothing. We want him playing Grand Theft Auto. We want him playing gory, shooters or current fighting games. Essentially, that's the feedback I got. And I was like, wow, what a ridiculously off base reaction. They actually were pissed at me for playing classic games. And I remember I got into arguments with my audience in video comments and on social media. Yes, 10 years ago when I was using Twitter, I was, why are you reacting like this? These are the classics. These are the games that laid the foundation for what we have today. And sure, you may feel that they're outdated, but that doesn't mean you don't respect them. This would be the equivalent of saying we would never watch an old movie ever again because modern movies are better. It's like, what are you talking about? Art resonates no matter how long time has passed. Technology doesn't. For example, if you watch an old game and it's pixelated, okay, the graphics don't look good. Or you watch an old movie, oh, the CGI from the 90s looks like shit. Admittedly, you're right. But that doesn't mean that the work of art is completely destroyed or wasted and has no meaning. And those were the kind of reactions I got 10 years ago. This time around, it was completely the opposite. When I played the games this time, it was people who were on those streams and watching on demand, because I know there's still people watching the playthrough on demand, okay? They were incredibly appreciative of the fact that I was sharing this game and all of my knowledge and passion for it through this playthrough. And that it was interactive with my audience, and I was answering questions, and I was giving details of little tips and things that you can do during the boss fights. Because Chrono Trigger is not an easy game. If you don't understand how to do certain things in certain boss fights, that game will kick your ass, all right? And I was trying to help people who were maybe doing it, playing it for the first time, to understand how to do certain things. I also like that we took the time to unlock all the stuff in the game, including all the crossover attacks and all of that. Not to say that I used them all, because there really are a lot of crossover attacks that are just kind of unnecessary, but it was nice to see every triple attack and everything by the end of the game, you know what I mean? Again, very different feeling in the modern day versus 10 years ago when I had backlash for playing classics, all right? So I want to say thank you so very much to those who attended the streams, to those who watched and are still watching that playthrough on demand, because I know for a fact there are people still in the midst of the playthrough. It's a lengthy one, all right? And, of course, particularly a shout-out to those who supported that playthrough, whether it was simply engaging with the streams and the videos, maybe a super thanks, or super chat, super sticker, memberships, gifted memberships, and tips. All that stuff made that playthrough possible. You understand? Because a lot of people are, it's just a classic, I'll skip it, it's boring, slow, I'll come back when there's a new game. But the fact that people showed up and supported those playthroughs, those retro playthroughs that I do, means that I can play them. You understand? I'm happy that in today's audience, I have the ability to be flexible and I can balance games. I can play a new game with an old game and it all balances out and it works. Back then, I couldn't do that. That summer, my views plummeted because I played retro games and I lost tons of money. Seriously, it was one of the slowest summers I'd ever had at that point being a YouTuber, just because I chose to play some classics. And it's like, wow, I'm beholden to my audience. I have to kind of almost obey the demands of this almost, I hate to say it, a lot of entitled people back then. It was like, oh, we are, our views determine what you do. So if we don't want classics, we're just refuse to watch anything you do for 3 months and we'll come back when the new games come out in the fall. I was like, wow, that's kind of messed up. Because the way I saw it back then was I thought that I was having a chill gameplay time with my audience. It wasn't. It really wasn't the case, But then things change over time. And today I do feel like things are very different today. In the way that the content that I put out and the way that people react to my content. And that's a good thing. I have way more fun today. I feel like we have way more personal social interactions on the streams. It's more meaningful to play Chrono Trigger in 2023 than it was in 2013 because of the kind of YouTube audience that I now have. It's much smaller, that's for sure. Back then, we're talking every video I pumped out got thousands of views. Seriously, even a playthrough that was slow got thousands of views per video. Today, I pushed 300 views a video, right? So, it is what it is, but hey, I'm happy. You know what I'm saying? So there you go. Comment Frenzy stop right now. I'm just going to say that. Don't repeat what you're saying. You're saying toxic stuff in the chat. Nobody gives a crap. Just stop repeating it. Nobody gives two craps. Thanks. Okay. Sorry I had to do that. I was trying to ignore the guy, but he's now pasted this like 3 times in the chat. I'm trying to ignore this guy. Okay. So that is it for Chrono Trigger. I remember your original Summer of Retro. You did get really upset fans didn't like that you were playing Earthbound. I actually for a time got turned away from your videos and I stopped watching you for the while. I'm glad you've changed for the better. Here's the thing. Again, you have to understand where I was coming from, okay? At that point, I've been making videos since 2008. And admittedly, if you look at the games that I was playing, it was mostly all new releases. I was known as the guy who would go out and buy every new release, play it at launch, rush through it. I wasn't taking my time with these games. I was rushing through them to get them out there on the internet and be one of the first guys to do a full playthrough of a new release. Didn't matter if it was good or bad. As long as I was one of the first to do it, that's what my bread and butter was. That's what I was known as. So then, over the years, when I started doing this full time, starting in 2011, I realized there was going to be downtime. There was going to be holes and gaps in my schedule where there wasn't going to be constant new releases. Notably, back then, the summertime had almost no new games coming out. So therefore, I had to find things to fill in the gaps. In 2012, I did the Summer of GTA. And that was per the fans requesting it. It was Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, San Andreas. Pretty much all back-to-back that summer. And it was me playing on original PlayStation 2 plugged into my HD TV. This created insane amounts of input lag. There was no HDMI conversion. It was just incredibly laggy. So imagine playing those games for the first time. They're already very difficult games. They always were known to have difficult missions and problems in them. Now imagine playing them in pixelated, fuzzy graphics on an HD TV, and the game is insanely delayed, everything you're trying to do. It was really hard to get through those games. And by the way, back then, I wasn't using strategy guides. I wasn't having people hold my hand. It was just me learning to do it on my own. I wasn't even a streamer back then. So it was just me playing them offline. I didn't have anyone to help me. So that summer was a summer of pain and suffering, but was one of my most successful summers I ever had. I'm not kidding you. I made insane amounts of money that summer. I made more money that summer than I did that fall. Think about that. Then in the fall with all the new gaming releases, I made more money during the summer playing classic GTA than I did during the fall. That was pretty wild. The views were sky high. I mean, every video I put out of those playthroughs was getting tens of thousands of views, and the videos were 10 minutes long. I want you to think about that. In a given day, I would play GTA. Let's say I was playing San Andreas. I would play it for 7 hours that day. Each hour was 6 videos. Do the math. I was putting out 30 to 40 videos a day, and each video was getting 10,000 views. So in one day,
I was getting about 500,000 views.
And that persisted all summer. So, that was a crazy summer. The next summer comes along, and what I'm hoping is that I have gotten enough good faith in my audience now on YouTube that I can play whatever I want and people will actually watch it and appreciate it. Okay? So I decided that I wanted to do a summer of retro. Why? Because much like the summer before where those GTA games meant a lot to my audience, the games that I wanted to play during the summer of retro meant a lot to me. These were all games from my childhood that I enjoyed so much, including Link to the Past, Super Mario World, Super Mario 3, Chrono Trigger, and Earthbound, to name a few, because I think there might have been a few more, but I can't really remember. And I absolutely felt that my audience was going to be like, wow, this is cool because we see a different side of Phil. Instead of him raging and instead of him rushing through these games, he knows what he's doing because he has passion, and we're going to see his enjoyment, and we're going to like these. Literally the opposite happened. Imagine you're going into something with a positive expectation that your audience will appreciate what you do, and instead you get nothing but criticism and negativity tossed your way. I saw record low views, tons of thumbs down on the videos. That's also what gets me.
They thumbed down the videos.
I want you to think about that. Just because I wasn't playing a new hot game or a GTA or a gory game or a fighting game, because I chose classics, people were coming in droves and thumbing down the videos for playing classics. That killed me because that hurts my channel's algorithm. You know what I mean? That actually hurts the momentum of my channel. That really hurt. And it did hurt my feelings, admittedly. It's been tough. You know, my life has been tough over the last decade. It has. I remember I was very upset because here I am thinking that people are going to appreciate the fact that I'm doing something outside the box that I wouldn't do, and I want to share my passion for games with my audience. And quite frankly, my mainstream audience didn't appreciate it. I'm absolutely sure there were people who did, of my core audience, but the people who were the mainstream YouTube viewers just didn't get it. And they started leaving really negative comments on the video. Oh, what you're a dinosaur. You're so off base. You have no idea what modern viewers and gamers like and want. Why would you do this? It's the worst summer you ever chose. I mean, you got to understand, even people like the Arid Lord, who was one of my biggest fans, was coming out saying, oh, I don't really like this. This is boring. I was like, you're kidding me, you know? So it really hurt. And I remember getting very upset and kind of arguing with the audience. Now, see, that's the difference. Today, if we have a disagreement, we'll talk it out. I want to understand your perspective, and we come to an arrangement of understanding. Even if we agree to disagree, that's today. 10 years ago, I was a different dude. 10 years ago, it was like, how dare you not agree with me that these games are great classics? How dare you not like these playthroughs and thumb down my videos? I got actually like legit upset and heated over this with my audience. You know what I'm saying? And exactly. Canadian Kirk says, my way or the highway. Exactly right. That was my mentality back then. Listen, if you don't like my content, you don't have to watch it. Get the fuck out of here. Instead of saying, hey, okay, let's talk a little bit about why you're not liking what I'm doing. Maybe we can adjust on the fly. Maybe we can do, you know, I didn't do any of that back then. I literally did not take feedback. It was, I'm going to do what I want, and you deal with it. And so, yeah, that's really why I feel that summer failed as bad as it was. And I think that's why a lot of people got upset, because they started looking at me as a guy who's like, listen, this guy just doesn't listen to feedback. He's not growing. He's just staying like this big kind of like pig-headed dude. And we don't want to be a part of that. We'd rather have someone who wants to talk and hang out and interact. And you know what I mean? And I get that. It's different today, for sure, than it was back then. Today, I'm very open to listening to your constructive suggestions. And listen, there's still assholes out there who come and they insult and all that. But I'm talking about people who come here with constructive criticism, suggestions for improvement. I listen to that now. And I understand that I am not some infallible dude. In fact, I'm a very fallible guy, right? I am. I'm very flawed, and I do my best to improve myself based on feedback. I try to make more meaningful content for you guys now, and I hope that you like it. That's what I said. Playing Chrono Trigger 10 years ago versus today was completely different. I feel like they're two completely different playthroughs, right? Same game, but what a different mentality, what a different style, what a different person I am now, and I'm happy for that. I really am. So, thank you for understanding. Someone like Spawn Killer here, who years ago got very upset with me because I got upset with him, right? I understand a lot. That was the turning point. You got to remember, it was around late 2011, 2012, and then 2013 were the years where This Is How You Don't Play started becoming very prominent and exploding on the internet. So that was when the big anti-DSP movement began on YouTube, and it became more fun to make fun of me than to even enjoy content along with me. So that summer of retro was the tipping and breaking point for a lot of people. It really was. And that sucks because I feel like today I'm a better person, but how many people just don't care or don't listen? They won't actually come and check out my content. They'll just believe all the memes, all the tropes, all the bullshit about me and never come back and give it a shot. And then people who do come back and give it a shot a lot of the time say, whoa, this is totally different. He's not even the same guy. It's a totally different style. It's totally different content now. This is actually relaxed and fun, which is what we wanted back then, right? We didn't get it. Now we get it because he listens, but, you know, it's too late. His reputation is completely destroyed and no one really gives a shit. Everyone would just rather laugh at him than give him a chance. You're right. But I'm still happy to be able to still be here and do what I do for a living. I'll never be some big shot. I'll never be virally popular. I'll never have a tenth of the views today that I had back then. Seriously, back then, there were months at the height of my YouTube popularity, I was bringing in over 10 million views a month on DSP Gaming. Today, I don't get 1 million. Yeah, but you know what? I'm happy with what I have. I'm grateful for what I have, and I'm grateful that you guys still allow me to be who I want to be and to make the content I want to make through your support. Thank you so much for that. To Spawn Killer, I want to personally say I apologize to you if you took offense at anything I did 10 years ago, because I know back then I was a different guy. I was very defensive. Again, my shit didn't stink, right? That's how I acted. And a lot of my attitudes back then were very unwarranted and basically not worth your time. And I hope that I've earned back your viewership with my change in attitude over the years. Thank you for that. Okay.
These contributions are mandatory. Typically helps me more than anything.